Welcome to Off the Court, and it was a calmer round 9 after all the antics last weekend. Joining me in the studio, I finally got one of my own. Izzi Phillips, you are here.
Hi, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
What's amazing is I was actually at training with Izzi Phillips this morning, and I said, "Do you need a lift?" And she went, "No, I'm good." And then we found out it took her two hours.
Yeah, not ideal. I just tried to fit in my pool recovery whilst we were here, but I severely miscalculated my journey time, which was my bad.
Well, I'm very glad that you are here. And look, we'll get straight into it because you're here off the back of the London derby, London Pulse versus London Mavericks at Wembley in front of 3,000 people yesterday. Wasn't quite the result to get over the line, but wow, we got close.
Yeah, it was a great game. I think being in front of that crowd, like you said, the 3,000 supporters all cheering us on. An arena game is always where you get your best netball, because I find for me personally, like, it really pushes me on and makes me want to perform in front of them. I think we really had a mission as Mavericks to come back after our loss in earlier rounds against Pulse, and we knew that we had a tough task ahead, but we knew that we'd come so far and built as a group to really take them on. And I think the score was testament to how close we could take them, and I fully believe that if we have another run-in with them next, that will be the next time that we take it.
Oh, I love that fighting talk, Izzy. And if we do have another run-in, that will be in top 4, right, where basically anything can happen. So I do like that. I want to just talk then about you playing against your old side, because you were at London Pulse. You obviously had your breakthrough year there as Young Player of the Season. That's the club you've ever known. How difficult is it then stepping out onto the court with a brand new team?
I think it has its own battles that you go through. I think from the mental aspect, I want to put out my best performance against my old club to kind of just show what I've learned and what I've improved over the season and stepping into the new side of London Mavericks. But also it's the battles that are happening on court, like playing against Liz Scholes. I trained with her the whole of last season, so already we know how each other plays, and it's who's going to get the one up against each other when we're on court. And as much as we're going at each other phically, it's also, there's no love lost. We're picking each other up and it's still great fun.
You talk about Liz Scholes there, and obviously you've played a lot against her. A lot of the listener questions we always get in, and we asked again to send questions in for you, are who your toughest opponents. Is Liz up there? Is it a style of wing attack? Is it a certain person? Is it an experience? Is it a team?
Well, I think Liz is definitely up there. I mean, her pure foot speed really gives you something to think about. And actually, for me, had to kind of look at my tactics at how I was approaching her and what might actually benefit. For example, being further off the body because of her speed, if rather than me getting into a chasing game, actually is there a way to adapt and meet her to make her feel uncomfortable and not get what she wants. I think both her speed there, I also think a style of wing attack that I would say is definitely a tougher challenge for me coming into this game is when you have that more physicality side. I think I would say one of my strengths is my speed and being able to challenge and go on flies. So I think for me, what my continual work on is when someone is actually bodying up on me or using a bit more of their strength and the smarts rather than just going leg for leg, what actually can I do to adapt in that? But I think being at London Mavs, that's really been something that I've been working on and putting into practice.
You speak with so much maturity about the sport, and you forget how young you are. You know, you had Young Player of the Season last year. It was a total breakthrough. Remember all that lovely story about you bought tickets for the final of the year, and then you're there playing in the playing on the big show with London Pulse. But that sort of shift to London Mavericks, you've talked quite openly about wanting to learn that wing defence position. And I did some research. We chatted through with you that you're the youngest wing defence starting in any of the professional leagues across the world. So I think the next closest is Amy Sleeger, but I think Zara is at 24. Most of the wing defences, you know, it's such a specialised position. It takes years to learn that craft. You actually went, that's where I want to be. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, I think for me, when looking at obviously what I wanted to do with the next season after getting that breakout year, my biggest main focus point was how am I going to learn to become the best wing defence where I want to be. And for me, I felt coming into this London Mavs environment, this would be the best place for me. And I think it has been a tough season because I've had to strip back a lot of habits that I may have picked up along the way. I'm sure you can attest to that.
No.
But I've had to strip back a lot of like the old habits that I've picked up along the way and really like break it down foundationally on what are the key parts of wing defence and how can I improve my game. And I think, again, using this Pulse game, the first game compared to now, I think I've improved so much on my performance on court and being able to come round, getting clean ball off of the likes of Liz, which, you know, is credit to her, is like few and far between. She is a talented athlete. But I think really looking at how I develop my wing defence role was the key for me, and I think London Mavericks is the place that I will do that.
So here's a question then. Does it come with almost more or less pressure backing up, you know, your breakthrough season, everybody raving about you, like with you knowing so focused about what you want to do? And by the way, that's massive credit for you. I talk about young players all the time wanting everything now, but actually strip back your game and say, no, this is where I want to be in the future and this is what I've got to do. Do you think that added pressure or took it away?
Well, I've been talking about this with people before, and I think for me, I haven't really taken on that pressure, because I knew that going into this season, because I had such a clear goal of actually I want to learn what I'm doing, it didn't matter about what happened last season, because I think it would have been very different if I'd stayed playing how I was and was just like, I want to back it up and go again. But I think because I had such a clear goal of the fact that I wanted to actually strip back and look at the foundations of it, for me, I was like, the only thing that would be getting in the way is my ego and thinking, what are people going to say? What are people going to think? But every time I kind of maybe get a bit self-conscious about that, I'm thinking, no, but I know what I came here for. And I think seeing the improvement, what we're now in round 9 compared to the start, I think it's evident that I'm getting there. And I think obviously by the end of the season, I'm hoping that everyone's going to be able to see like what even a difference one season's made.
Absolutely. I mean, I've loved working with you. It's like working with a sponge, you know, giving you stuff and challenging you as well. And that's the biggest thing I talk to players about all the time. Like, you've got to have that self-awareness and go, you know what, I don't like this, but I'm going to give it a go. So go on then, what are your hopes? You've got Netball World Youth Cup coming up in September. We were talking about that before. It's in Gibraltar.
Yeah, nice and sunny, tropical.
Nice and sunny. I was laughing about this because my first England Under-19s tour was supposed to be for Gibraltar, and I was so excited. It was for FINA back then before it was Netball Europe. And then there was hand, foot and mouth. You'd be too young to remember this, Izzy. There was I don't even know if you were born, which is more depressing. But hand, foot and mouth. So we ended up going to Cardiff to play 2 games against Wales, which was great. We won. But still, it kind of quashed my dreams a little bit. But that's got to be the ultimate goal for September, right?
Yes, and I think that was really key, and also my decisions of how I knew, again, with building my wing defence game, my end goal is to be playing my best netball at that World Youth Cup. So I wanted to take this year as a development year to get me in that best place. I think as a squad, we went on a tour to Australia in January, and I think that was really good because it opened our eyes up against our opposition, playing against New Zealand and Australia. And I think that helped us to know where we are, and I'm excited to get back into it over summer and really train as a team, because I think we are just as much in it to go out and really prove to the world what we can do.
It's like you set me up for this, Is. So one of the other listener questions, what was your biggest takeaway then from that under-21 tour down to Australia? Because it is always an eye-opener, right?
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway was probably the level of physicality when we were playing against opposition such as Australia. I think when you go in age groups, obviously playing in Super League, you've kind of experienced that, but playing in age groups, it's a bit more of a nuanced game where often, again, stuff like speed can just get you through. But here, when we went out and played against the likes of Australia, you realise, oh no, how they're using their body, how they're thinking about where they're going before. And then there was a lot where I realised, oh, okay, so I can't just rely on just being faster than my player and just getting a pocket ball. Like, I actually need to do the work and get around beforehand. And I think that was really key for me. And again, talking about improvements, I think from the first game to the last game, I'd already been able to speak with my coaches and see where I can improve there. And I really enjoyed it. Like, I think we came a bit as the underdogs as England, and I think we brought it to those teams, and we managed to come away successful in some of the games. And I think that was really credit to us learning whilst we were out there. And that's the whole point of a development tour. Each of us took away what we needed to do better as.
I want to touch base on the physicality, because we've had the sad announcement from Gabby Marshall this week that she's going to be retiring due to 2 concussions and previous concussions as well. The reality is the game has changed, hasn't it? That physicality has gone up to a new level. I think we've noticed it, especially this year in Super League, in terms of how much contest is being allowed to happen. Is it needed? Do we need to keep that going internationally, but also as an entertainment for our sport?
Yeah, first of all, it's really sad to hear, obviously, about Gabby Marshall's retirement. Obviously, wouldn't wish that on anyone, and I hope all the best for everything. I think in terms of looking at that physicality on court, I think it is needed. I think when we look at internationally, those are where, in the finals, those are where our best games are coming from. When it's you actually let players, the least whistles getting involved, you're letting that contest. And not to get it wrong, that it does need to be policed and restricted in some sort of way. Yeah. But I think, I mean, it's also coming from a defender. So
I see this, Izzy. I see this.
Probably a bit biased. But I think if it's a safe contest and it's 50-50, I don't think we should be penalised for going for ball. And I think that's what makes games more exciting, when you see the scraps on court, because everyone's fighting. No one's doing anything maliciously or with intent. Everyone just wants to be that one to come up with the ball at the end. So I think in games where that's allowed, you do see where it's tighter games, it's goal for goal. Like, you see really where that physicality can help push on that game.
And I hear you in terms of, I don't think it's being done maliciously, but there is a level now, and I'm at that point where I'm like, where is this line going to stop? Because, you know, if you go through and analyse, like I do, the amount of repositioning of players and pushing of players, it has gone to a new level. I'm talking from everyone now. This is attackers all the way through to defenders as well. Is it something being coached? Is it something that basically everyone has to do now?
See, I would say for us at Mavericks, it's not something that we necessarily have coached or looking into, but I think in games that we've faced where there has been such high levels of physicality, I guess it's to the point where it's like, why shouldn't we look at how, like, not in a horrible way, but why shouldn't we look tactically at where we can be using our physicality to help us win more ball? I think there's a lot of games where we've felt like teams have been doing that and they've got away with it successfully. So if they're doing it, is this not just a new tactic that's been introduced to the game, the same way how we have our game plan? Is this just not just a new element of it being brought in?
Yeah, and I would agree with that, and it's actually something I've really started to amend with. As someone who's been in the game for over 20 years, the game changes, right? And you have to move with the times, and I think the defence end for me is definitely something that I've been focusing on. So we've talked about Netball World Youth Cup. I want to quickly touch on Australia, because it's the question we ask all players, really. One day, Australia, is that the kind of goal? And seeing the players that have gone out there recently, that's kind of got to be a wow.
Yeah, Australia is the ultimate dream. We were talking about like 10-year goal, life plans. That would be mine. I think ultimately at the moment, it is one of the best leagues in the world. And I think it's really the testament of, if you are one of the best players in the world, that is where I'd be aiming to go. And I think I look up to the likes of even Imogen, who's just gone over recently, and already it's just a different level of experience, even the lifestyle, the sun, but also like what you get to learn by playing with those players. Personally, I'm a massive fangirl of Latanya Wilson. I look up to her so much and watch all her games, but just seeing the likes of how internationals can go over there and really grow and develop their team. And ultimately, I do think it helps, because when you get back into that England setup, you get to take away everything that you've learned from over there and bring that to your game. So I think it's nothing but a positive, and would love to go over there.
There you go. You heard it here first. Izzi Phillips would like a move to Australia at some point. She's got to stay here for a little bit longer. You've also got Aussie family as well, right?
Yeah. So my mum's side is all Australian. So I think my mum's waiting for the day that hopefully I get the call up, because I think she'd move our entire family within a heartbeat straight back over there.
Just put that in the contract. You've got to relocate the whole
Can
family.
You also buy a house for my mum and my siblings, please?
Perfect. Well, let's give that 10 years then. Quick one then. Can the Netball Super League get to that level where people are talking about it in the same way that your eyes light up when we talk about SSN?
I think it definitely can, but I think it's a much longer process. It started with the Netball 2.0, but we see the comparisons of where the Suncorp League was, but that was so many years ago. Whereas it's like now we need to still invest, like having things like off the court and having people talk about it. It's all a way of getting that exposure for our sport, and I truly do believe that this league can get to that level. But I just think as fans, as players, as anyone involved in it, we just need to give it the time, and equally just keep on talking about it and raising those conversations and making us be heard as a sport.
Last two questions from me, and also I love the plug for Off the Court. Well done, you can come again. London Mavericks, what does success look like this season?
Success for us looks like we're definitely aiming to get to be a top 4 team. That's where we want to be in the league. As you said before, once you get to top 4, anything can happen. So I think for us, our biggest push is to get there. And we know, and I know, that we have the ability to get there. I think we've shown in our recent games playing against other top 4 teams such as Thunder, Pulse, that we can push them all the way. And it's just now getting that consistency to take them in those closing quarters, and when we are within touching distance, how we then push on. But I 100% believe that we can get there.
I love that, Izzy. That is good. That is really, really good and exciting as well because the league is so open. We saw Dragons get their first win last weekend as well. Final question then, and this, we have to call her out on this. I have got unblue ticked messages from Raz Quashie from last summer, and she had the audacity to take time out of our debrief this morning to Instagram this in. And her question to you, Izzy, is Raz your favourite player?
I mean, I love all my team, but if I have to be honest, I think Raz might slightly get the edge. And not only because she will be shouting at me on court if I don't say her, but still.
That's true. Although I might have to split you two up from sitting next to each other if she comes in her sunglasses again to the team debrief on Monday morning. I'll let her off. She had very little sleep. However, look, Izzy, it's great to talk to you. The next few weeks are really important for your side. Some big games coming up. Yeah. Excited about them?
Excited. Leeds, we've got this weekend, another big game. We took them early on in the season, had a 1-goal win, and we're looking to push on with that and repeat the win. But I would say for us, do it in a more Maverick style in terms of pushing on in that game and really capitalising on the ball we turn and our centre passes that we have.
That might save me ageing a few more years. Thank you, Izzy. Well, listen, it's been great to speak to you. Thank you so much for joining us. You can, of course, join all the action for round 10 this weekend. Our 3 games on Sky are all on Sunday, starting with Leeds Rhinos versus London Mavericks. We then have London Pulse, the big one, versus Loughborough Lightning, the top of the table clash, finishing with Manchester Thunder and Birmingham Panthers.